What we're going to be doing is cutting down the sword so that the blade is actually gone. I'm going to be doing this with a bunch of cheap wall hangers because I don't really mind sacrificing a blade on a wall hanger. Now you can see here it's got a little bit of a hamon. It says on it China. That's just a fake wire brush hamon. So what I'm going to be doing is taking my rotary tool here. I'm going to be using a cutoff disc and I'm going to be chopping that blade right off of it. So you'll set it to a medium speed and you'll see what happens if you come over the suba here is you get a bit of an angle on it. This is going to make a downward cut, but that's okay because I'm going to flush it off a little bit later. Now as I'm starting off this cut, I'm going to be cutting up at a steeper angle like that. I'm just going to get myself a good guideline straight across, and then what we're going to do is spin around the sword a little bit so that I can get it a little bit better of an angle to cut it through. By going left and then right, we're going to try to cut a little bit of a V into the top of it. That way as the blade goes through, it's not going to be as subject to breaking. Now as I'm going through here, I'm making a lot of light passes. This is a fairly cheap blade, so it's not really having any trouble going through it. I'm using a medium speed. Now you note that I have the blade facing away from me. However, it's not really a sharp blade, so it doesn't matter that much, but it's always good to practice good safety habits. And to reduce the risk of the disc breaking, what I'm doing is notching at the front and back, so that way when I flip the sword over, I'll be able to see where I want to cut across on the other side. Now that I've got a decent mark into it, I'm upping the speed a little bit just because I'm not as worried about it skipping out on me now, so let's try to get through it a little bit quicker. One thing to mention here, not visible from the outside of this video, is that I have the sword actually leaning up against an anvil that's bolted to my bench, so I'm not worried about it kicking and flipping around on me. When you're cutting off something like this, make sure that you have it secured. Now that I've finished all the cutting on that side, we're going to flip it over and begin on the other side. Working through from that notch from the other side, I'm just going to bring it around a little bit more so it's easy to see, and then we're going to make a guideline going straight across. This doesn't have to be perfectly across, we're going to be covering it with duct tape later on, but the smoother of a line you get, the easier it'll be to round off a little bit. We're just going to keep working through it here with the higher speed on it to get it cut through faster, since I've got that little groove in there, especially from the other side. It's already starting to wear through and you can see the blade bending a little bit. And pop, just like that, it'll snap right off if you have just a little bit of metal left. Now for this, if you have a belt sander or something like that, it'll be a lot easier for you to use that to clean it up with. I was in somewhat of a hurry since Renn Faire was happening tomorrow, so I just used this to clean up the edge a little bit. Now I've just gone through to flatten off where I kind of cut that V into it, which left a little bit of a sharp edge, and now I'm just kind of grinding off the burrs from the edge, those little rough bits, just to get that smoothed out a little. By taking the burrs down like that and just wiping it with my finger, it'll get covered with tape, but that'll help prevent it from tearing through the tape as it goes on. One last little spot check. We'll make sure that the burrs are smooth. Not so much that it's going to cut anybody inside of the scabbard. It's certainly not, even if it's pulled out, but it helps to make sure that the tape doesn't get torn when you're trying to put the tape over and then wrap it around by getting rid of those burrs. Now because of the bulk of that tape on it, it's not going to fit back into the saya, but this is a cheap sword set and has a little plastic piece over the throat inside of the top decoration there, so we're actually going to go ahead and pull that off so that we can fit the blade inside even with the duct tape. Now it is a little bit of a loose fit, but that's okay. We're just kind of walking around Renn Faire with it, so I'm not too worried about it. The sword stays upright, it's not going to go anywhere. That's going to wrap it up for this one. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and give me a like and comment below, and if you haven't subscribed already, I would appreciate it if you do so. As always, this is Samurai James saying thanks for watching and sayonara.